that will make every achievement-oriented person uncomfortable. The harder you work at trading, the faster you'll destroy your account. I know what you're thinking. That can't be right. Hard work is how we succeed at everything. It's the foundation of achievement, the cornerstone of mastery. But trading laughs at that belief. And then it takes your money. Because here's what nobody tells you when you start. The market doesn't reward effort. It doesn't care about your hustle. It doesn't give participation trophies for screen time. The market rewards one thing: being right at the right time with the right risk. That's it. And the brutal irony? The more you try to force it through hard work, the further you push that moment away. Let me paint you a picture of two traders. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in one of them. Trader 1 wakes up at 5 a.m. Pre-market analysis. Coffee. 3 monitors glowing. He scans 50 charts, checks economic calendars, reads trader Twitter, reviews 12 indicators, takes notes. He's in position by 9:30 a.m., then another at 10:15, another at 11 p.m. By end of day, he's taken 8 trades. He feels productive, engaged, alive. He worked hard today. His account, down 4%. Trader 2 wakes up at 8 a.m., opens one chart, sees his setup isn't there, closes laptop, goes to the gym, comes back at 2 p.m. Setup still isn't there. He takes 0 trades. To an outsider, he looks lazy, uncommitted, like he's not even trying. His account, unchanged, which means he's winning. Because in trading, not losing is the same as winning. And that's the first truth that breaks ambitious people. The absence of action is often the highest form of skill. Most people never accept this. They've been conditioned their entire lives to believe the opposite. More hours, more effort, more output equals more results. It's worked everywhere else: school, sports, business, relationships. But trading is the rare arena where this formula doesn't just fail, it inverts, where more becomes less, where effort becomes interference, where hard work becomes self-sabotage. And until you understand why, the market will continue to bleed you dry while you wonder what you're doing wrong. So let's expose the lie. Let's break down exactly how hard work destroys traders. Not because effort doesn't matter, but because you're applying it in all the wrong places. The 3 ways hard work kills traders. 1. The overtrading trap. When you decide to work hard at trading, what does that actually look like? Usually it means being more active, taking more trades, watching charts longer, hunting for more opportunities. This feels right, it feels productive, you're engaged, you're in the game, you're doing something. But here's the problem. The market doesn't reward participation. Taking 10 trades doesn't make you 10 times more likely to profit than taking 1 trade. In fact, if only 2 of those 10 setups are actually high-probability opportunities, you've just given yourself 8 chances to lose money. Think about that. By working harder and being more active, you've systematically decreased your win rate while increasing your exposure to losses. A surgeon doesn't become better by performing unnecessary surgeries. A sniper doesn't improve accuracy by firing at every shadow, and a trader doesn't build wealth by taking mediocre setups. But when you're wired to believe that effort equals results, sitting still feels wrong. It feels lazy. It feels like you're wasting time while others are out there making money. So you keep clicking, you keep entering, you keep working, and you keep losing. Because what looks like laziness to the outside world, sitting on your hands, closing your laptop, walking away when there's no setup, is actually the highest form of trading discipline. The market doesn't pay you for showing up. It pays you for showing up at exactly the right moment. And everything between those moments? That's just noise disguised as opportunity. The overtrading trap is seductive because it makes you feel productive. Your ego loves it. You can tell yourself you're grinding, you're in the trenches, you're paying your dues, but your account tells a different story. Every unnecessary trade is a leak, a small cut that compounds into a hemorrhage. And the tragedy is you're inflicting these wounds on yourself while calling it work ethic. Here's what hardworking traders never realize. The best trade is often the one you don't take. That setup that's 80% there but not quite perfect. Walking away from that is a victory. That FOMO moment when something's moving and you're not in it, resisting that is profit. That impulse to make back what you just lost, ignoring that is wealth preservation. But none of this feels like work. It feels like restraint, inaction, weakness. And that's exactly why most traders never master it. 2. The analysis paralysis. Here's the second way. Hard work destroys you. Overanalysis. You open your charts. You see a potential setup forming. But you've been working hard. You've been studying. You've learned about 50 different indicators, patterns, and theories. So now you check. Multiple moving averages, RSI on 3 different timeframes, MACD histogram, Fibonacci retracements, support and resistance zones, volume profile, institutional order flow, market breadth indicators, sentiment data, news calendars, sector rotation, correlation with indices. And by the time you've analyzed all of this, one of 3 things has happened. 1. The opportunity has passed. Price moved without you while you were busy confirming what you already saw. 2. You talked yourself out of a good trade because one indicator disagreed with the other 9. 3. You convinced yourself to take a bad trade because you found enough confirming data points to justify it. All 3 outcomes have one thing in common. Your hard work just cost you money. Bruce Lee said it perfectly. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. The trader who has mastered one simple strategy will destroy the trader who has surface-level knowledge of 50 strategies. But hard work culture tells us more is better. Study more, learn more, analyze more, add more indicators, check more time frames, gather more data, and before you know it, you're drowning in information while starving for clarity. Here's the truth. Complexity is a disease disguised as sophistication. The more tools you add, the more noise you create. The more indicators you stack, the more contradictory signals you'll receive. The more you know, the harder it becomes to act. Because now you're not trading the market, you're trading your confusion. Professional traders don't have complex charts. They have simple systems with 1 or 2 clear signals. When it's there, they act. When it's not, they don't. But the hardworking amateur? They keep searching. They keep adding. They keep analyzing. And every layer of complexity they add takes them one step further from profitable action. The irony is brutal. The trader who knows less but executes more consistently will always outperform the trader who knows everything but can't pull the trigger. 3. The emotional exhaustion. Here's the third killer, and it's the most insidious: emotional burnout. When you spend 12 hours a day glued to screens, watching every tick, analyzing every candle, reacting to every move, your nervous system enters a state of constant hypervigilance. You're not just watching price, you're emotionally entangled with it. Every green candle triggers a dopamine hit, every pullback creates anxiety, every breakout sparks FOMO, every loss demands revenge, every win inflates your ego. Your brain isn't designed for this level of sustained emotional intensity. It's not built to process this much stimulation without breaking down. And here's what happens. You start making decisions from a state of emotional depletion. Your discipline crumbles, your patience evaporates. Your system becomes a suggestion instead of a rule. You start forcing trades just to feel like you're doing something, just to scratch the itch, just to make the anxiety stop. Think of a professional poker player. They don't play every hand just because they're sitting at the table for 12 hours. They fold most hands and wait for premium situations. But the hard-working trader feels compelled to be constantly engaged, constantly in the market, constantly active. And this is exactly what destroys them. Because trading from a depleted state is like driving drunk. Your reaction time slows, your judgment fails. You see patterns that aren't there, you miss signals that are. The market doesn't care how many hours you put in. It cares about the quality of your state when the moment arrives. One clear-headed decision after 8 hours of rest is worth more than 50 decisions made in hour 11 of a screen marathon. But hard work culture doesn't teach this. It teaches persistence, grit, pushing through, never giving up. And in trading, that mentality is poison. The best traders I know work less than everyone else because they've learned that their mental clarity is their edge, their emotional stability is their alpha, their capacity to make one good decision is worth more than 100 mediocre ones. But the struggling trader keeps grinding, keeps staring, keeps depleting their most valuable resource, themselves. And then they wonder why their results keep getting worse. So what does the market actually reward? If hard work in the traditional sense doesn't work in trading, what does? The answer is uncomfortable because it requires you to redefine what work means. The market doesn't reward activity. It rewards 3 things, and only 3 things: having a clear system, unwavering discipline, and ruthless patience. Let's break each one down. The system. The real work of trading isn't accumulating strategies. It's developing one strategy and following it with absolute consistency. This is unglamorous work. It's not sexy. It doesn't feel productive in the way that watching charts for 12 hours feels productive. But here's what it looks like. You define exactly what setup you're looking for. Not 10 setups. 1 or 2 setups that you can recognize in 3 seconds. You establish exact entry criteria. Not it looks good or it feels right. Objective, measurable, binary criteria. You determine position sizing rules. Not, I'll risk more when I'm confident. A fixed formula, every time. You set exit rules for both profits and losses. Not, I'll figure it out once I'm in. Before you enter. This work might take you a few weeks to nail down. But once you have it, you're done with this phase of work. The system is the easy part. The hard part, the real work, comes next. The discipline. This is where 95% of traders fail, not because they don't have a system, but because they don't follow it. Your system says wait for a specific setup, but you've been staring at charts for 3 hours and nothing's happened. So you take something that's close enough. Your system says risk 1% per trade, but you're confident about this one. So you risk 3%. Your system says cut losses at a specific level, but you know the market will turn around. So you hold and hope. Here's the brutal truth. Following your system when it's boring, when it's frustrating, when it goes against every impulse, that's the work of trading. And it doesn't feel like work, it feels like restraint, like inaction, like you're not doing enough. But this is exactly what the market rewards. The discipline to do nothing when your system doesn't give a signal? That's worth more than any technical analysis skill. The discipline to take a loss according to plan? That's more valuable than any pattern recognition knowledge. This is psychological work, not analytical work, and it's exponentially harder than staring at charts. The patience. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." In active trading, this is even more true. Think about a hunter. They don't run around the forest shooting at every rustling bush. They find a good position. They wait, they observe, they stay still. And when the perfect opportunity appears, that's when they act. The best traders I've studied take very few trades. Some take fewer than 5 trades per week. Some take fewer than 5 per month. But when they trade with size, with conviction, with confidence, because they've waited for their exact setup. This waiting doesn't feel like work. Your brain is screaming, do something. You're wasting time. You're being lazy. Other traders are out there making money, but sitting still, watching, waiting, doing nothing until the perfect moment. That's the work that compounds wealth in trading. There is the invisible work that actually matters. Now I need to clarify something critical. When I say hard work doesn't matter in trading, I don't mean you can be lazy and succeed. There is hard work that matters in trading. But it's invisible. Internal work that most people never do because it doesn't feel like real work. Let me show you what this looks like. The work of self-awareness. Most traders spend hundreds of hours learning technical analysis and maybe 30 minutes understanding their own psychology. This is backwards. The real work, the work that transforms losing traders into profitable ones, is understanding yourself. What triggers your emotional trading? Which market conditions make you deviate from your plan? What time of day do you make your worst decisions? How does your ego affect your position sizing? What childhood beliefs about money are sabotaging your trades? This requires brutal honesty. It requires journaling. It requires therapy-level introspection. Nobody wants to do this work. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun. You can't screenshot it and post it on Twitter. But this is the work that transforms traders. I've seen traders with mediocre technical skills become consistently profitable once they understood their psychological triggers. And I've seen traders with brilliant analytical minds blow up repeatedly because they never did this internal work. Here's what most people don't realize. The market isn't your opponent. You are. Every impulsive trade, that's you fighting yourself. Every revenge trade, that's you sabotaging yourself. Every time you break your rules, that's you proving you're not ready. The market just sits there, neutral, indifferent, waiting. It's not trying to take your money. You're giving it away because you haven't done the work to understand why. Think of it like this. If you walked into a boxing ring without ever examining your own weaknesses, your opponent wouldn't need to be skilled. You'd just beat yourself. Trading is the same. The market doesn't need to trick you. You trick yourself every time. You ignore your system, chase a move, or size up out of ego. And until you do the invisible work of understanding these patterns, you'll keep repeating them forever. So why do you think the best traders look like cowards? Here's where everything inverts. Society teaches us that brave people take action, that winners are aggressive, that success requires boldness. But in trading, the opposite is true. The best traders in the world look like cowards. They don't take big risks. They don't bet the farm. They don't trade often. In fact, the higher the stakes, the smaller they trade. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? But this is the paradox. What looks like cowardice to the outside world is actually the highest form of mastery. Let me reframe this for you. When you see a trader sitting on their hands, refusing to enter, they're not being passive, they're being disciplined. When you see a trader take a small loss and walk away, they're not being weak, they're being strategic. When you see a trader reduce their position size after a win, they're not being timid, they're being wise. Because here's what amateurs don't understand. The goal isn't to be brave. The goal is to survive. And survival requires you to treat the market like it's always one trade away from destroying you. Because it is. The market doesn't care about your confidence. It doesn't reward your conviction. It only cares if you're still standing when the next real opportunity appears. And the traders who last, the ones who compound wealth over years, they're not the ones who fought hard and took big swings. They're the ones who fought smart and protected their capital. Think about it. Who's more dangerous in a fight? The guy who throws wild punches, or the guy who waits, watches, and only strikes when there's an opening? The loud one gets tired. The quiet one wins. Trading is the same. The hyperactive trader burns out. The patient trader compounds. And from the outside, patience looks like fear. Restraint looks like weakness. Walking away looks like quitting. But that's only because most people don't understand what real strength looks like. Real strength is doing nothing when nothing is the right move. Real strength is cutting a loss before it becomes a disaster. Real strength is saying no to 99 opportunities so you can say yes to the one that matters. That's not cowardice. That's control. And control is the only edge that lasts. And the paradox of effort. Subtraction, not addition. Let me share something that took me years to understand. Trading is an art of subtraction, not addition. In most pursuits, success comes from adding. Add more practice, add more knowledge, add more hours, add more effort. In trading, success often comes from subtracting. Remove unnecessary indicators, remove emotional reactions, remove excessive trades, remove ego from decisions, remove the need to be right. The work of trading is often about stopping yourself from doing things, not pushing yourself to do more. And this is why trading feels so wrong to hardworking people. Every instinct says, do more, but success requires, do less. Think about it this way. Imagine a calm lake perfectly reflecting the sky. That's a trader with a clear mind, following their system. Now imagine someone frantically stirring the water, trying to make it more productive, more active, more engaged. The more they stir, the more distorted the reflection becomes. That's what hard work looks like in trading. It distorts your clarity. The goal isn't to stir the water more vigorously. The goal is to become so still that you see everything clearly. And clarity, not effort, is what makes you money. Here's the shift. In life, we're taught that struggle equals growth, that if you're comfortable, you're stagnating. But in trading, struggle means you're doing it wrong. The goal is to make trading boring, systematic, unemotional. When trading feels exciting, you're probably overtrading or risking too much. When trading feels like hard work, you're probably forcing it. When trading feels like simply executing a checklist, showing up with discipline and waiting patiently, that's when you're doing it right. And this feels wrong to high achievers. It feels like you're not giving it your all. But here's the reframe. You are giving it your all. You're giving it your best emotional control, your best discipline, your best patience. And those are harder to give than hours and effort. So let's talk about redefining your work ethic. So if you're someone who has always succeeded through effort and dedication, how do you adapt to trading? You need to redefine what work means, from output to process. In most jobs, you measure yourself by output, more sales, more products, more results. In trading, you need to measure yourself by process, not outcome. Did you follow your system? That's a win, even if the trade lost money. Did you maintain emotional control? That's a win, even if you missed an opportunity. Did you wait for your setup instead of forcing a trade? That's a win, even if you made no money today. This requires a complete mindset shift. You're no longer working for immediate results. You're working for long-term consistency. The market will give you results when it's ready. Your job is to show up with perfect process over and over, regardless of outcome. From constant action to strategic patience. You need to reframe patience as your highest skill. Every moment you successfully resist the urge to trade outside your system, you're compounding your future success. Every day you do nothing because your setup didn't appear. You're getting better at trading. This is active work. You're actively choosing discipline over impulse. You're actively maintaining emotional control. You're actively following your system. It doesn't feel active because you're not clicking buttons. But this is the work that matters. From learning everything to mastering one thing. Stop trying to know everything about trading. Start trying to know everything about your one setup. One strategy executed with complete mastery will make you more money than surface-level knowledge of 50 strategies. The work isn't accumulating more knowledge. The work is deepening your mastery of what you already have. Trade the same setup 100 times. Learn its nuances. Study how it behaves in different conditions. Understand its failure modes. Recognize it instantly without thinking. This is deep work. It's harder than jumping from strategy to strategy, but it's what creates expertise. Now the final truth. So let's come back to where we started. Hard work destroys your trading account. Now you understand what this really means. It's not that effort doesn't matter, it's that the wrong kind of effort destroys traders, while the right kind of effort is invisible to people who judge success by activity levels. The wrong effort. Overtrading to feel productive. Overanalyzing to feel smart. Screen watching to feel engaged. Constantly searching for new strategies. Trading outside your system because you're working hard. The right effort. Building one system and following it religiously. Developing emotional awareness and control. Cultivating patience as your superpower. Journaling and reviewing for continuous improvement. Protecting your mental state like it's your most valuable asset. The market doesn't care how many hours you put in. It cares about the quality of your decisions in the moments that matter. You could trade for 30 minutes a day with complete discipline and make more money than someone trading for 12 hours with none. This is the counterintuitive truth of trading. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things consistently, even when they feel like you're not doing enough. If you've been grinding harder and harder while your results get worse, this is your wake-up call. You don't need to work harder. You need to work differently. You need to stop interfering with your own success through excessive effort. You need to trust that patience, discipline, and clarity will compound over time. You need to redefine what work means in the context of trading, because the market doesn't want you to hustle. It wants you to be still. It doesn't want you to be loud. It wants you to be precise. It doesn't want you to be busy. It wants you to be ready. And the moment you stop confusing activity with progress, the moment you embrace the uncomfortable truth that less is more, that's when everything changes. That's when you stop being the trader who works the hardest, and you become the trader who wins.